Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of current updates. And here with me is Ananya.
Hello everyone.
So, Ananya, what are we doing today in our session of current updates?
So we will be doing important Indian texts in our some important text series, and this is we will have current updates today.
Yes. So, it's our current updates session today, and we will talk about some important authors, some important Indian authors, rather. Okay, let's move on. So, in today's session, let's talk about some authors who are important for exams, and we'll talk about why these authors are important, their works, life, etc. Okay, so let's move on to our first author for this session. Yes, Ananya?
Humayun Kabir. So Humayun Kabir was an Indian educationist and politician. He was also a poet, essayist, and novelist in the Bengali language. He was also a renowned political thinker. Kabir published a book of poems in Oxford in 1932 and continued to write poetry, short stories, and novels after his return to India. He also wrote essays and was a well respected orator. His work, Men and Rivers, explores the relationship between man and nature. It depicts the lives of Muslim farmers that live on the banks of the river Padma in East Bengal. Science, Democracy, and Islam is a collection of essays by him. Now, here, the author argues that the pursuit of scientific culture is dependent on a religious culture of which he regards Islam as one of the finest examples.
Okay, so
Ankita, you're mute.
Yeah, Humayun Kabir is a very important writer. Do look up his works, his life. Okay, so next author. Okay, the next author we will talk about is Indira Ganeshan. Indira Ganeshan, as you can see here, the picture, she is an American novelist and essayist, best known for her novels The Journey, Inheritance, and As Sweet as Honey. Here we will talk about her novel, her most famous novel, As Sweet as Honey. It's an enchanting story of family life that is a dance of love and grief and rebirth set on a gorgeous island in the Indian Ocean. The island is filled with exotic flora and fauna and perfumed air. A large family compound is presided over by a benign, stalwart grandmother. And this novel was published in 2013. So let's talk in a bit more detail that what this novel is about. We see that there is a very tall South Asian heroine here with the astonishing Indian name of Mitterling, who has found love at last in the shape of a short, round, elegant Englishman who wears white suits. There are also numerous aunts, uncles, and young cousins, among them Meena, grown now and narrating the story of a marriage ceremony that ends with a widowed bride who, amid her grief, discovers she is pregnant. While enjoying their own games and growing up pains, Meena and her young cousins follow every nuance of gossip, trying to puzzle out what is going on with their favorite aunt, particularly when the groom's cousin arrives from England and begins to woo her. As Mitterling, torn between Eastern and Western ideas of love and family, duty, and loyalty, she struggles to make a new life. We become as entranced with this family, its adventures and complications as Meena is. And with her, we celebrate a time and place where, although sometimes difficult, life was for the most part as sweet as honey. So it's a very important novel by Indira Ganeshan, As Sweet as Honey, and it was published in 2013. To look up other novels as well. Okay. Next. Yeah.
So, Davisar. Okay, Abha Davisar is an Indian-born novelist, and she is writing in English. Her novels include Baby G, Family Values, That Summer in Paris, and Mini Planner. Her 2005 novel, Baby G, won the Lambda Literary Award for lesbian fiction and the Stonewall Book Award. BBG is set in 1980s Delhi, India. It recounts the coming of age and the sexual adventures and fantasies of a 16-year-old bespectacled schoolgirl, the only child of a Brahmin family. The three simultaneous affairs she has in the novel are all secret and all with members of her own gender, two with older women and one with a classmate.
So Baby G is an extremely popular novel by Abha Daveshwar. It's a novel which talks about a girl and she's a lesbian who belongs to a Brahmin family. So there's conflict of sexuality and caste come together, right? We see a very conflicting picture of caste and sexuality and sexual desires and fantasies, because she's a Brahmin girl, but she's also a lesbian. On the one hand, she has duties of belonging to a Brahmin family. On the other hand, she has her own desires, her fantasies. She's almost torn apart in the conflict of these two poles. And this novel is a wonderful novel by Abha Daveshwar, and it was published in 2005. Do look up Abha Daveshwar. Okay, the next novel we'll talk about is... Okay, so before we proceed, from 15th of this May onwards, we have started the admission of 6-month online course for NNET, and of December 2024. And the classes will start from July 8th, and you can see everything that will be available for this course. And there are 2 phone numbers as well on the screen where you can, contact for your further questions and queries and get enrolled for this December NETCA course. Okay, let's move on. The next writer we'll talk about is Nandita Dey. So I think all the Bengalis are very much aware about her stalwart presence. So she was an Indian writer and academic. She published more than 80 books in Bengali: poetry, novels, short stories, plays, literary criticism, personal essays, travelogues, humor writing, translations, and children's literature. She was awarded the Padma Shri in 2000 and the Sahitya Academy Award in 1999. She was a well-known children's author in Bengali for her fairy tales and adventure stories with girls as protagonists, having first written for children in 1979. She was the chief editor of Bengali in the Macmillan's Modern Indian Novels in English translation series. So she's a very important translator. Please be careful about that. Read more about translators and their translated works. In the English category, the Sahitya Academy Award was posthumously bestowed on Nandita Dey for her translation work, Chandrabati's Ramayan. Okay, so she got the Sahitya Academy Award for her work on translation. She received the award posthumously for her translation of Chandrabati's Ramayan. Okay, let's move on to the next writer. Yeah.
Joy Goswami. So, Joy Goswami is an Indian poet. Goswami writes in Bengali and is widely considered one of the most important Bengali poets of his generation. After a long period of writing in little magazines and periodicals, his writing was finally published in the influential Desh Patrika. This brought his immediate critical acclaim, and so long after his first poetry collection was published, named Christmas O Sheetar Sonnet Gucho, Sonnets of Christmas and Winter. He has received the Anita Sunil Basu Award from the Bangla Academy, Government of West Bengal, the prestigious Purashkar in 1989 for Ghumiyecho Jao Pata. Have you slept? Pine Leaf? Pine Leaf. And the Sahitya Academy Award 2000 for his anthology Pagli Tomar Sange. Did you, oh crazy girl?
Joy Goswami is a phenomenal poet, and he also got the Sahitya Academy Award for his anthology Pagoli Tomar Sange with You, Oh Crazy Girl. So do look up Joy Goswami and his poems. He's a very important poet. Okay, next. So the next writer and academic we will talk about is Jashoda Baki. So Jashoda Baki was a leading Indian feminist professor, author, critic, and activist. She was the founder and director of the School of Women's Studies at Jadavpur University. Her books include Loved and Unloved, The Girl Child. And her another work is Trauma and Triumph, Gender and Partition in Eastern India. It's a very important work on partition. She also founded the women's rights organization, Shochetona. Right? So do look up her two works, Loved and Unloved and Trauma and Triumph. Trauma and Triumph, it's a very important critical work on partition. It's talk about how, gendered violence operated during the partition riots. Okay. So Trauma and Triumph, it's a very important work on partition. Okay. Next. Yeah.
Now, Tanika Sarkar is a historian of modern India based at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Sarkar's work focuses on the intersections of religion, gender, and politics in both colonial and post-colonial South Asia, on women and the Hindu right. Her most recent work, Religion and Women in India, Gender, Faith and Politics, 1780s to 1980s, now provides an account of gender prescriptions and proscriptions and their operation among various Indian religious communities, beginning with early British rule and concluding in the late 20th century, tracking various shifts and displacements in doctrinal thought and practice. She argues that Indian modernity was initiated largely through debates on gender, scripture, custom, and caste, which shaped ideal forms of masculine and feminine conduct. She demonstrates the organization of a modern public sphere around the controversies, cultural imaginaries, and political agitations over such issues as the age of consent, child marriage, widow remarriage, rape laws, and intercaste and interfaith relations. Gender norms are shown leaching into social attitudes, labor processes, and legal rights, leading eventually to modern Indian feminism. Closely analyzing the interpenetration and co-constitution of religion, politics, and gender in India, while also comparing parallel developments in Pakistan and Bangladesh, this pioneering work offers a brilliant and synthesizing account of the battles between orthodoxy and its opponents over 200 years. Wow, this is an amazing work.
So as you all know, Tanika Sarkar is a massive historian, right? And her earlier works are very well known to us, like Hindu Women, Hindu Nation. But this work, Religion and Women in India, it's an upcoming work of Tanika Sarkar, which will be published in the October of this year. So I thought, let's talk about something which is newer, right? Because we already are very much aware about her previous works, her writings and all. So this is an upcoming work of Tanika Sarkar, and it's a massive project which she has been working on. And it talks about how this idea of Indian modernism, or how the movement of modernism in India was coincided with this debates of gender issues, specifically the women issues, like child marriage, widow remarriage, rape laws, and everything. So how this in the movement of modernism in India was coincided with the talk on women. Like she's talking actually how modernism takes up the issue of gender in India. How modernism takes up the issue of gender in India. Okay. So that's all for tonight. And before we wrap up, we will just remind you that from the 15th of this month, we have started the admission for December NET NT online, our 6-month course. And the classes will start from July 8th. The admissions have already started. So you can enroll now from our website. And the classes will start from July 8th. And you can see all the, how the classes will happen over Zoom, and everything is given here. And There are two numbers on the screen where you can contact if you have any further queries, and then you can get enrolled for this course. Okay, so that's all for tonight. I really hope you guys like the discussion. I would really encourage you all to look up these authors more, read more about their works. So it will help you, to develop a vocabulary which can really help you to, pass any exam for that matter. So, Ananya, shall we wrap up?
Yes, yes. Good night, everyone.
Yes. So good night, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye. Take care.